Welcome back to Couch to Coder. On today's episode, we will be discussing functions. Functions is essentially you develop a block of code that only runs when you call it. So you're used to running blocks of code straight downward on the page. Essentially, if you put something as x equals to 2, y equals to 2, z equals x plus y, you know that you're first going to say x is equal to 2, y is equal to 2, and z equals to x plus y. But today we're going to introduce functions and allow for you to break that barrier and run a block of code in any sequence as it's called. So what better way to call a function than to start with an example problem, and we are going to create an addition calculator. Calculator. So um, and we're going to say this calculator can accept any string, or any list of numbers. So what this is saying is we want to build a calculator that can accept any list of numbers, and that list of numbers will then be added together. Alrighty. So we're not going to use the sum function of a list. I think that that has its use cases and everything, but we're just going to add them one by one and show for loops and things like that. So let's talk about the structure of a function. So to actually begin building a function, you need to use def. Def is defining the function name, so we're going to call this, we're going to call it addition calculator. And then we need to tell it what it's going to accept. So it's going to accept a list, and that is going to be the added numbers list. So we're just going to call it numbers list. Alrighty. So now we can actually start putting our code. You see, once you put the semicolon, that the white space is already there for you. So everything within, I guess, a one-indent white space is going to be called when you're with that function. So we are going to want to iterate over each number in the numbers list and actually add them all together. So we're going to do a for number in numbers list, numbers list, and then we want total. So we're going to say every total starts at 0. We're going to say total plus equals number. Alrighty. So what this will do is it will add together everything at the very end. But what are we really looking for? We're really looking for the total. So we're going to go ahead and print the total, but we're also going to return the total. So if we were to set a variable equal to the call of this function, you'll actually be able to get the total. So we will run this block of code, and you'll see actually nothing happens because we haven't called the function. So we need to call the function here. So we'll call addition calculator, and we'll give it the list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is that? 9, 12, 14, 15. So we should, in this case, get 15. So if we run it, and there it is, 15. So now, as I was stating, you can actually set this call to a function as a variable and use it later on. So let's say x is equal to all of those added together, and y is equal to x times 2. Then we know that's 30, so y should be, or we know that's 15, and we know x times 2 would make it 30. So let's just print y and see what we get. And there it is. You get your 30. So let's take this a little farther. Let's use some things that we've built in the past to actually implement it a little farther and get something a little more repetitive, right? Because you don't need an addition calculator. Everyone has a calculator. But let's say we want to go back to our situation in last episode with the while loops, where we have Gerald that's going to the store. right? So we have this chunk of code here, the money, the items, and everything else like that. So we're just going to copy that code chunk. We're going to go down here and we're going to define, we'll call it corner store. And we're going to say that we'll accept how much money you can actually bring into the corner store. So we'll do the money variable. Now I copied that code chunk, so I'll go ahead and paste it in. And this time we don't want to set money equal to 10, so we'll go ahead and take that out. And again, as I was saying, we need to ensure our white space aligns, so our while loop is nested properly. Alrighty, so now every time we call corner store, it's going to give us, well, corner store of money, it's going to ask us for the inputs, and you will see that we will get Gerald going into the corner store now with different amounts of money, because Gerald isn't always going to walk in with $10. So let's say that Gerald walks in with $15 this time. So there it is, corner store of 15. And what's he buying? Let's say Jared is buying a tub of ice cream, and that costs $10. He's buying some really nice ice cream, and he'll buy some sodas, and that'll be $4. And lastly, let's say buys some gum for 50 cents. And then he tried to buy a candy bar for $1, but he ran out. So you can see that it's done, and we have completely exacerbated his money. He was not able to buy his candy bar. So let's see what items Gerald was able to walk out of the store with. Oh, I did not return the items. So we will return items here, and we will go ahead and say his take home is equal to his corner store. And we'll call take home down here. So we need to run this guy again. He bought, what was it, some ice cream for $10, some sodas for $4, some gum for 50 cents, and he tried to buy a candy bar, but he couldn't do it, and that was $1. So now what did he actually get to take home? He got to take home his items, which it's not wanting to give me for some reason. What we got going on here? Oh, because we didn't redefine corner store. Dang. All right. One last time. So he is buying some ice cream, $10. He is buying some sodas for $4, some gum for 50 cents, and last time candy bar, and he tried to buy that for $1. So now let's see what his take home was. Some ice cream, some sodas, and some gum. So now we've identified two functions here, one that accepts a numbers list and returns the total of those numbers, and one that accepts how much money Gerald has in his pocket and returns what he brings home. So thank you everyone for watching. Next episode, we will be getting into a little more detail, but this is really the basis of our functions and a lot of the basic tools that you'll need moving forward. So